Hello everyone, Jackie Edwards here. Welcome to the first official episode of the Women Power Wealth Show. I am super excited to be here, and I am super excited and grateful that you are here to join me today on this amazing journey to learn how to harness the wealth and power of women. Now, I wanted to start this show with a bang, and in this episode, I wanted to talk about something that is so prevalent in today's society, and it's so prevalent among women, and it's a feeling that's holding us back and keeping us from stepping into our full power and our full wealth. But it's something that we so often fail to identify or even notice when it's popping up within ourselves. And I believe that's because it doesn't have a name. We don't have something to call it. We haven't defined it yet. And in that case, when it pops up, we don't have any kind of reference point for it. We don't know what to do with it. And therefore, we tend to not even see it when it pops up. So I want to really define it, and I want to give it that name so that when it does occur within us, we identify it. And we don't let it hold us back any longer so that we can start to move forward and really harness that wealth and power within us. And I want to name that thing money guilt. And the definition of money guilt for me is anything that causes or brings up a negative feeling around money, or really any negative feeling that we have around money usually stems from guilt. Now, it might have another feeling kind of associated with it as well, but deep and underlying, there's also going to be a guilt around it. And I want to call that guilt around money, around wealth, around what we do with it or don't do with it. I want to start defining that now. That negative feeling is money guilt. So now we have a name for it, and we can start to kind of identify when it occurs within us. Now, some things that money guilt might look like, just so that we can be super clear, is maybe it looks like you feeling selfish because you think you have too much money, or you feel greedy, or you feel like others might not have enough because you have so much money. Or it might be a worry about you not having enough money, about you not feeling safe and secure in the money that you do have, in the wealth that's around you. Or it might be when you hide how much you've spent because you think that thing was too expensive, or that maybe you don't deserve to buy things like that. Or you hold yourself back from buying things when you have the money for them, but you don't feel like you should spend the money because you don't deserve it. Or it might be when you don't share your financial success with friends, with others, because you think it's going to make you sound like you're bragging, and you don't want to sound selfish or try to make yourself sound better than other people. Or maybe you share that success, but with caveats. So you say, oh yes, I made money, but it was so hard and it was so difficult, or it was just a one-time thing. It was just a fluke. I just got lucky. Just. So we put ourselves down. We take our power away. We limit ourselves to help make others feel more comfortable, or to help ourselves feel more comfortable, to feel like we fit in. So those negative feelings around thoughts like that bubble up and hold us back. So when you see those things come out in yourself, when you hear thoughts like that from within yourself, when you have any kind of negative feeling around the money you have, the money you don't have, the money you're making, the money you want, anything having to do with money and negative feelings, I want you to immediately think money guilt. And that you don't have to think anything else to start with, but you just need to start identifying it. And you need to know that it's okay. We have been trained for centuries to feel guilty about money, to feel bad about money. It's been drilled into us that money is bad. Money is the root of all evil. Money makes us greedy, and it makes us selfish. Money is dirty. We have been told that over and over and over in messages from all around us as a society. And it's been happening for centuries. So this isn't something that's just going to immediately flip a switch and change. And it's been being taught to us for centuries because that is the original way that people would look to get power, in this more masculine form of power, like we talked about in our introductory episode. So that masculine form of power is that power over and that dominating control. So that when the people had wealth, they wanted to make sure they kept that wealth. They kept that control over everybody else. So they would teach people that no, money is bad. You don't want to have money. You want to make sure that you're selfless and nurturing and that you care for everybody else. You don't need money to do that. Money, people with money don't do things like that. That's what we've been taught from such a young age. And it would be to keep the power in the hands of the few instead of the hands of the many. But I want to bust through kind of those myths and that masculine definition and really switch to the feminine form of money and power, where it's the power with and the power to, so that the more money I have, really the more wealth I've created in our collective society, the more value I've put out there. And the more power I have, the more power you have, and the more power the world has. So it's not a taking away. There's not a finite amount of wealth and power out there. There is an infinite amount. And the more wealth I create for myself, the more wealth and value I've put out and created in the world. And the more we do that together, the more we can grow and build. And that's where we need to start thinking. So for now, money guilt, when those things come up, that money is bad, I'm greedy, I don't deserve it, you need to just think, check, that's okay. I've been trained to think this way. Maybe there's another way to think. And then we can move forward with that. And in future episodes, I'll be talking more about this. I'll be, interviewing more wealth experts and people from the community out there that can really share different ideas so that we can start building on this feminine version of power and energy so that we can start building up our confidence around it. All right. I want you to really start to understand how that's holding you back. So now that we've identified what money guilt is, what that negative feeling around money is, and defined it as money guilt, then we can start to understand how it's limiting you. It's not allowing you to access your full power. It's holding you back from becoming your true and authentic self. And when you're not living authentically, that means you're hiding a part of who you are. You're not allowing yourself to be fully true to yourself. You're not going to be able to see the opportunities to grow yourself and to grow the world, to grow your power, to grow your wealth. And by growing your power and wealth, you'll be growing that of the world. But if we're holding ourselves back with that money guilt, if we're limiting ourselves, we're not going to see those opportunities out there. We're going to feel like we're just single people. What can we do as a small single person to change the world? That's how we feel when that money guilt is holding us back. But there is so much we can do, especially as we start to, build ourselves and build that power and that wealth within us. And another thing I want you to really understand is that how we do money is how we do everything. So if you're holding yourself back with your money, with your wealth, what other areas of your life are you limiting yourselves on? What other areas of your life are you holding back on and not letting yourself kind of grow and share with the world? Now, I know that's going to be a tricky one, but I really want you to just start to think through these things. I mean, this is our very first episode, our very first time together. So I just want to start you to open your minds to what those possibilities are and what might be holding you back and where you might be limiting yourself and how that might be not only limiting you, but limiting kind of where you can go in the world and what you can accomplish. So those limiting beliefs where you're not accessing your full power because you have money guilt, where you're not living authentically because you have money guilt, start to notice the ways that that's impacting you and those around you. Now that we kind of understand what money guilt is and we can start seeing ways that it's popping up in our lives, we might want to fix it. We might want to change it. We might want to stop feeling that money guilt. And that's great. That's a great intention. And in order to do that, first, we have to start identifying when it's happening in our life. We need to go from being totally unconscious about our money guilt to becoming more and more conscious and seeing when it is showing up in our world. Is it when we spend money? Is it when we save money? Is it when we make more money? Is it when we're not making money? Where is the money guilt coming up most often in you? And once we start to identify that and just say, oh, ping, that's money guilt. Oh, ping, that's just money guilt. Oh, that feeling there, that's just the money guilt. Then we can name it, we can call it out, and we can start to change the narrative. So instead of saying, oh, I don't know what to do with money, I better just give it to this financial advisor, you can say, oh, that's just money guilt. Maybe I should do some research. Maybe I do know what to do with it. Maybe I don't need to give it to somebody else to take care of. Or instead of saying, ooh, I can't charge that much for my product or that much for my service, you can say, oh, wait a second. Maybe I can. Maybe I deserve it. Maybe I'm worth it. And you can start to change that narrative once you identify where that money guilt is coming in. Once you've named it, then you can change the narrative. And once we start to change that narrative, that's when you will start to change the belief. So instead of believing, I don't deserve this much money, you can start to change the narrative and start to believe, maybe I do deserve this money. Maybe I can handle this much money. Maybe this is my time. Maybe I can have the money so that I can be an inspiration to others. Whatever it is, you can start to change that narrative, and therefore you'll start to change the belief. And as we change that belief that we are worthy of money, that we deserve it, that we can handle our money, then we can start to step into our true power, that we can step into our true wealth, and that we can really start to change ourselves. We can build that security and that safety for ourselves and for our families. And then that will ripple out into the world. Because as we, as women, feel safe and secure, and we feel powerful and wealthy, that will ripple out into the world. It will ripple out to our daughters, to our granddaughters, our nieces, our sisters. They will start to see our power. They will start to see our wealth, and they will start to believe that they can do it themselves. So the more you believe in this feminine version of power, the more you embrace it and harness it, the more it becomes a power to and a power with. So that the more power you have, the more wealth you have, the more there is for everyone out there. So I really want you to take those things away and think about them. And notice over the next weeks, where do you have money guilt? Where is it coming up for you? And how can you name it? How can you start to change the narrative so that you can change the belief? Thank you so much for joining me today. I can't wait to see you in the next episode.